My parents, especially my dad, really wanted me to go to college, but I didn't. I wanted to work, and I didn't feel like I was the kind of person that could learn what I wanted to do by being in a classroom. I think they knew that they couldn't really stop me. Hi, I'm Dakota Johnson, and this is the timeline of my career.
Oh, baby, I missed you so much. Oh, my God. Sandra, you taking care of Marilyn for me? Yeah, Mama, I have.
Crazy in Alabama. I was 9, and my stepfather directed the movie, and my mom starred in it, and I played her daughter, and I still remember all my lines. Because I only had like 2 or 3 of them, but I took it very seriously and like demanded that I have time with the vocal coach. That was really fun. Except my little sister also was, played my mom's youngest daughter, and she was a baby. She was like 1.5 maybe. And every time Antonio, my stepfather, her dad, yelled action, she'd just burst into tears and would be sobbing the entire take. He'd yell cut, come over and be like, Stella, and she'd be fine and happy. And I think she thought it was really scary when he yelled action. And I was the one holding her the whole time, like running down the street, holding this crying baby. You don't know my name, do you?
Is it Stanford?
I should just kick your ass. I think it was like 1 or 2 callbacks, and then I read with Aaron Sorkin for the 2nd or 3rd one. He said, just say what I wrote. Don't add any exclamations or any punctuation. Don't add the word And I was like, okay, yes. And he read with me the fastest I've ever read a scene. And we did it a bunch of times. How do you go to a party and you meet
Amelia Ritter, but you prefer Amy. You're from Orinda. Your father's in commercial real estate, and your mother's 10 years sober.
What's my major?
Trombone.
Really? It was really interesting because that was my first job as an adult. I think I had just maybe turned 19, and I thought I'd go to set and like have my hair and makeup done and stuff, and I got there and it was like 6 o'clock in the morning, and they were like, yeah, great, you look good. And I was just like, no, what? But he wanted me to look like me and not like a done-up teenager. That day, Terrence Malick came to visit David Fincher on set, like already beyond nervous about working with David. It was just having like 2 of your heroes watch you work for the first time ever, really, in your adulthood, so it was a lot. It's really awesome, except it's freakishly addictive.
Seriously, Kate, you haven't slept with anyone since Maddie was born. It's like 7, 8, 7,
She's 5.
She's only 5.
They had cast somebody else. They had the entire cast, and she, I guess, fell out at the last minute. My agent called me in the morning and was like, can you be at Fox in 45 minutes? So I went in and I met with all these people at this like conference table. It was so crazy. And they told me about the show that they were gonna basically start making like in an hour. So I chose to go work on it. And I spent a few hours just like running lines like crazy. And then I went back and I got the part. We started pretty immediately, and I just had the best time. I was playing a young mom who had a baby as a teenager. So if you want to go and marry that boring, rich, semi-bald guy and spend the rest of your life not laughing, then fine, go ahead and do that. The person that I was like always true north was Dana Fox, because it was her show. She created it. It's about her brother and her, basically. I found it really fun to have different people's points of view, but I also felt like I always knew what needed to happen.
Our wedding was an hour ago, and this is my husband.
It's amazing, best day of my life.
Exactly. Hi, I'm Dakota.
Jeff Bamundo. I sell ceramic tile out of Newark.
Nice.
My wife's name is Catherine. I can show you my social security card if it helps.
I somehow got myself into being in the series finale of The Office because I was a fan of The Office, of course. I'm in it for like 3 minutes, and I spent 2 weeks on that set. I was there every day, all day. But I did meet Rainn Wilson, and now I always run into him on planes. I felt like I was crashing someone's birthday party when they actually really didn't mean to invite me. Like, they did it just to be like, yeah, sure, come, you know, and then I was stuck there. Earlier you said that there are some people who know you well. Why do I get the feeling that that is not true? When I heard that Sam Taylor Johnson was directing it, I emailed my manager at the time. I think I want to audition for that. I feel like it could be really cool. Later, when I got the job, he framed that, but the email's like full of typos, like I must have been driving. Working with Sam was really cool because her ideas are really fully realized. They're very organic to who she is and what she believes about love and the world, and she has great taste, and she's really kind and really loving, and I needed that so much. You know, I felt brave enough to do that role, but I really needed to feel safe. Oh my God. Well, we did a lot of research, just learning about the sort of power dynamics between a submissive and a dominant. It's very, very psychological, and I found it to be amazing to learn about what kind of relief and release some people need and how everybody is different and everything is okay as long as you're not hurting somebody else without their consent. But it is complicated. It was a lot to try and like ground the character and this young girl inside of this massive idea. I really was looking to find the beauty in it and the heart and the humanity.
And then his behavior started changing and he became really angry, Jimmy. Like, really angry, and his body was all stiff, so I brought him here and they said that then the aspirin that I had been giving him just made him worse. Wow. Yeah, no. That's what they said. That's what they said, that I made him worse.
I knew Johnny Depp from my childhood. He was friends with my dad and Hunter Thompson. My dad and Hunter were very, very close. I was there for a few weeks and it was a really lovely, fun time. It was like being on a set with someone who's revered is a very different kind of set to be on. And it felt so magical and respectful. It was a real like honor and treat to work alongside someone who was he's so gifted. And Scott as well. I really loved Crazy Heart.
He's never gonna be a little boy again, ever.
Don't.
He's brain dead.
Don't say that.
He's on life support. He can't move, and I don't want him like that. I'll pull the plug myself. I will.
What did you say?
It was a heavy, heavy experience, and so we were shooting this scene and they did my coverage first. We did it a lot. And I think after a while you start to like numb out, you kind of dry out. You know, certain preparations that you do or an actor does to get to a place of emotional, like heightened emotions. It's almost like you hold yourself at a place, or I do, I hold myself and then it's a release and then you know that that's done and we've got that. So then we moved on to Johnny's coverage and I was on the other side of the camera just like shaking and weeping. And we broke for lunch and I was like, wow, that was such a crazy experience, and just to do that scene with somebody like that was just hardcore. And then they knocked on my door and they said, your coverage is out of focus and we have to go back and reshoot. And this is like 9 hours later. And that is like one of the most devastating times that I've ever had on a movie set. Because it wasn't the same when we went back.
You of all people in the whole fucking world cannot say that to me.
Who the fuck are you?
You motherfucker. Go fuck yourself.
There are two things that dance can never be again: beautiful and cheerful. Today we need to break the nose of every beautiful thing.
I was making a bigger splash with Luca Guadagnino, the director, and Tilda Swinton. Like little mischievous children came over to me and they were like, do you know Suspiria? Or Luca said that, like not Tilda. They were gonna make it, and they wanted me to make it with them. So I got really into German expressionist dance from the 30s and 40s, and just studying how brutal it was and how aggressive, and the total opposite of ballet. Ballet, you're kind of going against gravity, and this dance, you're going with it, and it's very sort of brutal. We shot on top of this mountain. It was just one winding road up to this abandoned hotel on top of a mountain that on the top of the hotel had like hundreds of telephone wires, of like telephone poles. Everyone in the whole place was like just like riddled with static, and everyone would go around shocking each other, and like my hair standing up on end, and it was the weirdest experience. And I was doing like dream work to prep for the movie. I was having crazy dreams and really weird experiences with people, and very bizarre, just bizarre witchy witchcraft. It was pretty cool. Don't be afraid to give yourself to somebody, Dane. Promise me. It's not fair that I'm the only woman who knows how special you are. So I met with Gabriella Calperthwaite. She made this really great documentary called Blackfish. And I just thought it would be so cool to make a family drama with a person who's a documentary filmmaker, because those people usually see things differently. And I was right, because we would be on set and she would roll camera when we were just talking or when the girls were playing, because she knew what really is natural, what really is real. I think when I met with her, Jason Segel was attached to the movie, and I had made a movie with him. I made the 5-year engagement with him, and I love him so much. I love him like just so much. And so we were really excited to work together again. We made it in this town in Alabama called Fairhope, which is where the family came from and where this woman, Nicole Teague, was from. And it was this really, really small town. So everybody there knew her. I visited her grave, I met her children. Everybody there was so supportive, and they really loved her, and so loved that we were telling this story. It was also like at the bottom line about love and friendship, and I really like that. I really like movies that are really truly in their heart benevolent and kind.
After sewing thoughtfully for a minute, Jo said, I think she's grown up. And so
I'm happy with Elena, with everything. I met my husband so young, and he's fucking crazy about me and her. The Lost Daughter I read, and then I sort of pursued Maggie. We kind of just had immediately went really real and really deep. I really like it when that happens. It feels kind of radical to me, especially in this industry where so many meetings and conversations are the most bullshit. The most bullshit. So we were just like, what's the truth? And let's talk about it. And she called me and said that I had the part. And I cried a lot. I cried a lot because I really, really wanted it. There was something about that script that made me feel differently about what movies could be made and how they could be made and how they could be written. Making it with her was like a profoundly wild experience. Not wild as in the set was crazy or, unmanageable. It was internally, I was on fire. We're gonna go and find Nenny tomorrow when it's not raining, right, honey? And then today we're gonna get a doll for a big girl. Your mommy's a big girl. You're my big girl. I think because Maggie's a woman, but she's also an actress, so she knows what it feels like to be a woman in front of a camera, being vulnerable. And I've never felt as seen and protected and free as I did. She sort of created a space for all of us to do very extreme things and would lead us to the ends of every possible direction.
Felt like I'd been trying not to explode, and then I exploded.
doesn't sound amazing.
Meet my sisters-in-law, Henrietta and Louisa Musgrove. They are beautiful in every way.
This amazing woman, Carrie Cracknell, came on to direct, and she had done loads of theater, and so this was her first feature film. I started training, like dialect training, a few months before we started. That was the biggest thing for me, was like making sure that I was at least okay at, you know, speaking in an English accent. If I was dragged for that, I would jump off of the planet. I still think it could be better, but that's how I am about everything.
You must promise to spend every waking second with us, no excuses. When you aren't attending to your sister, of course. How are you feeling, Mary?
You haven't even asked me how I'm feeling.
I just did.
I'm so close to death, I can feel my organs decomposing.
We did a lot of rehearsal, which I'm not used to. Like real rehearsal. And I was really into it. It felt great. I really like working with different directors and learning how different people work and how different actors work. It's really fun for me. The script was written in a way, sort of like Fleabag, where the main character breaks the fourth wall and speaks to the audience. So that was fun. That was like a very, very interesting... I'd never worked with that dynamic on a set with a camera before. It made me feel a little bit more connected, knowing that it was okay to include the camera. It was really weird. It was everything you're taught not to do. We really wanted to show that this sort of struggle can be relatable today, can still be going on in some places, and this kind of woman still exists. And also, it's really nice to have these sort of escapist movies, these stories. That's why I love movies, is so you can disappear into another world, into other people's experiences, and lose yourself in them.